You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter @RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, and you're not. At the end of yesterday's show, I said that if the Carl Lawson injury turned out to be serious, I may lose my mind. Well, it doesn't get much more serious than a torn Achilles. Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I was out in public when I got the news that Lawson's injury was season-ending. So I really haven't lost my mind over this injury yet. Maybe I'll end up losing it now, because now that I'm talking about it, I'm starting to get ticked off. Just when things started looking up for the Jets, you've got Zach Wilson playing really well in his first preseason game. You've got the defense playing really well. There seemed to be a sense of optimism around the Jets. Their best player, all throughout camp, tears his Achilles. And this isn't some schmagegi that was just having a great camp. Carl Lawson was their marquee free agent addition. The Jets made a lot of big moves on the offensive side of the ball, drafting Wilson, drafting AVT, drafting Elijah Moore, signing Corey Davis. The only big move that they made on the defensive side was signing Lawson. I don't count signing LaMarcus Joyner and Sheldon Rankins as big moves. Those are depth moves. Just like the Keelan Cole and Tevin Coleman signings were depth moves. The only big move that Joe Douglas made on defense won't play a single game for the Jets his first year in green. It is impossible to overstate the importance of this injury. I really don't like talking about injuries because there's usually not a story there. Like if a quarterback gets hurt, how's the team going to recover from it? 9 times out of 10, they don't. Case in point, last year's Cowboys. But with this, it's different. A, I'm a Jets fan, so there is some bias here. And B, it just plays into that notion of same old Jets. Whatever the Jets are going to do, it's not going to work. That's the mindset that some people have. That's why I'm jaded about the Jets. This injury, the only big move that the Jets made on defense, now being out for the year, is why I will always be skeptical of the New York Jets. I mean, Lawson was supposed to be this generation's John Abraham. The great edge rusher. Someone to throw quarterbacks off schedule. So that way the quarterback couldn't take a nap in the pocket. He'd actually need to run around to try to make something happen. Now the Jets have nothing. Where's that pass rush coming from? Seriously, this Jets defensive line that was supposed to be really good now just took a major step back. In a 4-3 defense, you rely on the defensive line to generate most of the pass rush. The linebackers usually drop back into coverage. So that just leaves the group of Vinny Curry, Quinnen Williams, Foley Fatukasi, and John Franklin Myers. None of those guys, with the exception of Williams, because he's a beast, are sack artists. But even then, though, there's a little bit of a caveat to Williams. After Greg Williams was fired, Quinnen Williams only had 1 sack. Why is that important? Well, I'll tell you. As we all know, Greg Williams loved to send exotic blitzes. You never knew who the blitzers were. So that opened up lanes for Williams. The offensive linemen are picking up someone else, so Williams gets a free run at the quarterback. By the nature of a 4-3 defense, you're not going to see as many exotic blitzes. So as an offensive lineman or as a coach, the only guy who I need to worry about is Quinnen Williams. So I'm doubling him on every play. So you deal with Curry. You deal with JFM. You deal with Fatukasi. There, done. One of the benefits of having Lawson was to give Quinnen Williams some pass rushing help. Williams had 7 sacks last year. I don't see him eclipsing that. I don't see him having the same impact without someone helping him. Carl Lawson was that help. The Jets don't have that now. Also, if I go down the rabbit hole even further, the fact that the Jets aren't going to have a good pass rush means that there's going to be more pressure on the secondary. The Jets probably have the worst secondary in the NFL. The linebackers are fine. I have no issue with the linebackers. C.J. Mosley played really well against the Giants. So did Jarrad Davis. And so did Hamza Nasruddin. I really like Nasruddin. From what I've seen of him and what I've heard of him, the reports that I'm getting out of Jets camp, he can be a difference maker. Once you get past them, though, that secondary is useless. Outside of Marcus May, there's no one there that scares me. LaMarcus Joyner doesn't scare me. Bless Austin doesn't. Lamar Jackson doesn't. Corey Ballantyne doesn't. I didn't think it was possible for my outlook on the Jets secondary to be bleaker. It just got a lot bleaker. I mean, I have no idea what the rookies are going to do. I have no idea if Bryce Hall is going to work out. Javelin Guidry looks good, but that's about it. With no pass rush, that secondary is going to get exposed on every play. I saw some people calling for the Jets to sign Olivier Vernon or Trent Murphy. I don't think the Jets are going to do that. I mean, they already have Vinny Curry. I understand that Curry isn't a pass rushing specialist, but he's a veteran. He's been in the NFL since 2012. Joe Douglas knows him from his days in Philly. This is why you signed him. There really wasn't a clear role for him on the team. Now there is. I understand that Curry isn't going to be a good pass rusher. I mean, I'm all for the Jets signing Vernon. I think it makes perfect sense. Trent Murphy would make a little bit of sense too, but I think Vernon would make a ton of sense. He knows New York. He had 9 sacks last year for the Browns. Vernon would work. I just don't see the Jets going that route. This is why you sign a guy like Vinny Curry. If you're going to go out and sign Vernon, why did you bring in Curry at all? That doesn't make any sense to me. I like Vernon more than Curry. If the Jets were to move on from Curry and sign Vernon, I'd be all for it. I just don't think that's what the Jets are going to do. It seems like Robert Saleh really likes next man up. I don't think he likes signing veterans in free agency. I disagree with that mindset. I think there's a place for it. You can't buy a Super Bowl, but you can certainly get help in free agency. Let's put it this way. Some veterans that signed in free agency, guys like Xavier Rhodes, Malcolm Butler, Jadeveon Clowney, etc., all would have been really good fits on the Jets. But if Saleh favors younger players, and he believes in Joe Douglas's drafting ability, which I'm very skeptical of, he's not going to call for Douglas to sign free agents. Give him a chance. Let's see what he could do. I like Saleh. I really do. I don't want this to come off as a criticism of Saleh. I really, really like him. I like the picture that I have with him. I think he's going to do good things with the Jets. I will say this, though. I'm very tempted to criticize Joe Douglas over the Lawson injury. And I could do it very easily. This guy has 2 ACL tears on his ledger. In 2014 when he was at Auburn, and at 2018 when he was with the Bengals. So I could say, why did you sign this guy with a big injury history to such a big contract? 3 years, $45 million. The thing is, though, I'm not going to do that. In the Jets off-season preview that I did, I called for the Jets to sign Lawson. I really liked that signing. It looked like Lawson was fully healthy. He played in every game last year. I can't criticize Douglas. I just can't do it. It'd make me a hypocrite. I'd be Monday morning quarterbacking. No, I'm not going to criticize Douglas. I'll say this, though. Even after the Jets signed Lawson, I wanted them to add another pass rusher. They didn't. You know how many sacks the Jets had last year? 31. I'll take the under on that. I'll say that the Jets will have less than 31 sacks this year. You know, it's funny. I have a friend who keeps teasing me that the Panthers are going to blow out the Jets 49-0 in week 1. It's going to be a Sam Darnold revenge game. It's going to be a Robbie Anderson revenge game. Christian McCaffrey's going to go for 300 yards. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'll tell you, the Jets' defense just got exponentially worse. There's only so much that a guy like Sal is going to be able to do. Talent wins over scheme in the NFL. There was never a real hope of the playoffs, but there was a sense that the Jets could make some noise. Maybe 7-10, maybe 8-9. Now forget about it. This team's going 5-12. Here's what's going to happen, okay? The Jets' offense is going to look much better than it did last year. You're going to see that Zach Wilson's the guy, and he's going to have a really good rookie season. The Jets' offense will be good. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be at a level that it hasn't been at in a really long time. But the defense is going to be putrid. You won't see a notable difference between last year's Jets defense and this year's Jets defense. What's the only difference? CJ Mosley. Okay, look, Mosley's going to be really good. There's no question. But at this point in his career, where he's basically missed 2 seasons, how great is he going to be? He's still young. He's 29. He'll be good. He won't be great. Vinny Curry will be good, not great. Jared Davis will be good, not great. There won't be a big difference between last year's Jets defense and this year's Jets defense. They'll give up less points per game because the offense will help them out more. But they're still going to get burned a lot. There's no sugarcoating this. This injury is absolutely devastating. Out of all the players on the Jets roster, Lawson was at the top of the list of guys that you don't want to see get hurt. I mean, it brings up the question, how can a guy coming off his 3rd season-ending injury recover and be the player that we all thought he could be? He'll still be young. He's 26 now. But this is scary. God only knows how Lawson is going to recover from this. As for the Jets, not to sound overly dramatic, but they're not going to recover from this. This guy was the force off the edge. The Jets don't have that now. Quarterbacks are going to have a much easier time facing the Jets now. It's true what they say. Same old Jets. Moving on now to an interesting trade rumor. This comes from Jeff McLean of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Teams are contacting the Eagles about Andre Dillard. It's amazing how far Dillard has fallen in such a short period of time. Here's a guy who was the 22nd overall pick by the Eagles. In not this past draft, not the draft before that, but the draft before that. So 3 drafts ago. That's not a long period of time. And he was highly thought of coming out of Washington State. I liked him. I had him going 11th overall to the Bengals. I was stunned when he fell out of the top 20. He never really got a chance with the Eagles. He only started 4 games his rookie year. He had a 59.7 overall grade, according to Pro Football Focus. That's not good, but for a rookie left tackle, you can live with that. You saw the potential that was there. But Dillard got hurt last year. He tore his biceps. He missed some time with a knee sprain this year. He's not even penciled in as the starting left tackle. It's Jordan Mailata. A former rugby player has overtaken a former first-round draft pick. That's nothing short of incredible. I'd be surprised if the Eagles traded Dillard. I don't see Howie Roseman moving on from one of his former first-rounders this quickly. I mean, you're selling really low on him. Keep this in mind. Greg Little, who went 15 picks after Dillard, got the Panthers just a 7th rounder from the Dolphins. If all you can get is a 7th rounder for Dillard, no, you don't pull the trigger on that trade. A 6th rounder, no. A 5th rounder, no. If you believe in Mailata, I could be talked into a 4th rounder. But I think the most likely course of action for the Eagles is to hold on to Dillard and have him as the backup. If something happens to Mailata, replacing him with Dillard is pretty darn good. I'll say this, though. The Eagles are in trouble. I'm not saying that because of the Dillard situation. I'm saying that because they got creamed by the Patriots last night. I understand that it was preseason. I understand that Jalen Hurts didn't play. But as an Eagles fan, how can you watch that game and be confident in your team? I don't care what the circumstances are. You can't lose 35-0. Joe Flacco looked dreadful. He turned the ball over twice. Nick Mullins didn't look any better. The Eagles have no running game. I thought I was watching the 07 Patriots. I know that they lost to an NFC East team, but that team wasn't the Eagles. Cam Newton looked great. Mac Jones looked really good. J.J. Taylor looked great. Ramondre Stevenson looked solid. He's having a great preseason. 4 touchdowns in 2 games. The thing is, though, we know that the Patriots aren't that good. They'll be a good team. It wouldn't surprise me if they made the playoffs. But the Eagles made them look exponentially better than they actually are. Nothing good came out of that game for the Eagles. You want to tell me that proved that the Eagles really need Jalen Hurts? Okay. If I'm accepting that logic, the Eagles would have lost 35-7. That's the best case scenario. Jalen Hurts isn't that good. I don't like Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be out of the NFL very soon. It wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles cleaned house after this coming season. I know that this was just a preseason game, and everyone's going to forget about it in a week, but it wouldn't surprise me if Eagles fans were very close to the edge right now. Just like I was screaming doom and gloom about the Jets, they're probably screaming doom and gloom about their team. I mean, I'll say this, I'm skeptical about the Jets. Like I said, I see them as a 5-win team. The Jets play the Eagles next week. Why couldn't that be a regular season game? I'll trade you a Jets-Bills game for a Jets-Eagles game. I don't want to predict that a team will go winless, but if you gave me $1 million and said you can divvy up this money however you want, you just have to bet it on teams going winless in this coming NFL season, I'd put the vast majority of that money on the Eagles. I'd probably put $900,000 of it on the Eagles. I'll throw $100,000 on the Texans. But I'll say this, I like Tyrod Taylor a lot more than Jalen Hurts. It really wouldn't knock my socks off if the Eagles went winless. Alright, now I'll give you some MLB Valk talk. And I'll start with the best team in baseball that you're not talking about. The Cincinnati Reds. Don't look now, but the Reds are only 1 game behind the Padres for the second wildcard spot in the National League. They're not going to catch the Brewers. They're 8.5 games behind them. The Padres, though, they're very catchable. I mean, throughout this year, we've talked about the Giants, the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Padres, and the cluster truck that is the NL East. We've never really taken the Reds seriously. The reality is we should. They're 9 games over 500. They've played good baseball all throughout this year. And while they've been steady, the Padres have been struggling. The Padres are 3-7 in their last 10. They just got swept by the Rockies. Before that, they dropped 3 out of 4 to the Diamondbacks. The Padres are in a little bit of trouble. Their starting pitching is really bad. This rotation that was supposed to be a strength has really fallen on hard times. Joe Musgrove has been good, Yu Darvish has been good, but Blake Snell really hasn't been the ace that he was with the Rays. Chris Paddock hasn't been that good. They brought in Jake Arrieta. He was useless for the Cubs. What made the Padres think that they could turn him around in such a short period of time? Ryan Weathers hasn't been good. Dinelson Lamet is hurt. Adrian Morejon is hurt. The Padres are in trouble. I mean, I'll say this. It would certainly surprise me if the Reds were to be the second wildcard team, but it wouldn't cause me to fall out of my chair. The Reds have just been consistent all year. Not too great, not too bad. Now with the Padres hitting a rough patch, they're capitalizing on it. Give them credit. And give Joey Votto credit, too. Here's a guy who had a bad year last year. He got hurt on Cinco de Mayo. He missed over a month. On June 9th, he was hitting .216 with just 5 home runs and 18 RBIs. He had a .310 on base percentage. That's not Joey Votto. People were saying he's done, he's cooked, he should hang it up after this year. Not so fast. Since June 10th, Votto has hit .313 with 22 home runs and 61 RBIs. He has a .404 on base percentage in that time span. That's the Joey Votto we've come to know and like. It's no coincidence that when Votto started to heat up, the Reds got back into the playoff picture. Entering June 10th, they were 29-30. Now they're 66-57. As Votto goes, so do the Reds. It's just that simple. Having said that, though, I've seen people say that Joey Votto's a Hall of Famer. No. No. I don't care that Joey Votto gets a lot of walks. I don't care that he gets on base a lot. That doesn't get you in the Hall of Fame. It's about hits. It's about home runs. It's about getting the bat off your shoulders and making contact with the ball. Not standing there and doing nothing. It takes more work to get a hit than it does to draw a walk. At its core, a walk is not a testament to the batter. It's the pitcher making 4 mistakes. Now, there are cases where a batter spoils off a lot of tough pitches. He's down 0-2 in the count, and he draws a walk. That's really impressive. Job well done by the hitter. But more often than not, a walk is on the pitcher more than anyone else. Hitters shouldn't be rewarded for that. Joey Votto has 2,003 hits and 322 home runs. That's not Hall of Fame material. That's Hall of Very Good. And Votto has an MVP, which I like. I mean, make no mistake about it, Joey Votto has been one of the best first basemen in baseball from 2008 to now. But you look at his stats, it's not Hall of Fame. If he gets in, I'll be really upset. Fortunately, we have a long time to go before we really need to cross that bridge. Moving on now to the Braves signing Travis d'Arnaud to a 2-year extension worth $16 million. This deal also includes a team option for 2024 with no buyout. This is a bad move. I don't like this. What has Travis d'Arnaud done to deserve this contract? He had a good half a season with the Rays in 2019. He followed that up with a great season in the 60-game joke. But this year, he's only played in 28 games. He's hitting just .223 with 3 home runs and 15 RBIs. Who was in a rush to give d'Arnaud a big multi-year contract in free agency? You could have waited. And you could have signed d'Arnaud to a much cheaper deal. The reality is d'Arnaud is overrated. I hear a lot of people hold that over the Mets' head. You let d'Arnaud go. Look what he turned into. He had a good 136 games for the Rays and Braves in 19 and 20. That's it. There are plenty of bad things that you can get on the Mets for. Getting rid of d'Arnaud is not one of them. Also, I'll say this, James McCann hasn't been awful. He's hitting .240 with 9 home runs and 35 RBIs. The Mets have bigger issues than James McCann. This is just a terrible move by the Braves. I don't understand the urgency. I don't understand why you'd want to bring him back in the first place. Bad job by them. I'll close this show out with some NBA Valk talk. Specifically on the Pistons re-signing Hamidou Diallo to a 2-year deal worth $10.4 million. The second year of the deal is a team option. This is a great move by the Pistons. Diallo really improved last year. He averaged 11.5 points per game, just over 5 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, hit just under 48% of his field goals, and with the Pistons, he hit 39% of his 3-point tries. Diallo has talent. There's no question. He can be a really good role player for the Pistons going forward. Not great, but there's certainly a role for him in the NBA. You think about the true building blocks that the Pistons have. They have Cade Cunningham. They have Sadiq Bey. They have Diallo. I'll throw Doumbouya in there. I won't throw Jeremy Grant or Josh Jackson in there. Grant because I'm not convinced he can be the best player on a playoff team. And Josh Jackson is a one-hit wonder. Killian Hayes can be a good backup point guard. Isaiah Stewart has some talent as a traditional center. The point is that Diallo is on that list. You've got to keep him around. Good job by the Pistons in locking him up. It's going to be tough sledding for the Pistons in the near future, but this was a good move. New York Yankees show comes your way Monday night. Regular episodes of the Jacob Valk Show come your way every weekday afternoon. Until next time, I'm Jacob Valk, and always remember, if you disagree with me, you're wrong.